In the prologue to the Rule of St. Benedict, the Magna Carta of the whole West with regard to monastic life, we have words indication the optic, and very soon we have this reference to the tongue. Peace is linked with the tongue. The smallest member that can do so much harm and so much good. The source of unpeace, but also of healing. This weekend I was reflecting on the way that, if one observes, very few seem to know the secret of communion, dialogue. The average conversation, if we're honest, is something like this. Somebody starts, and then the other person immediately has something to say. There are some who actually have this problem to a state which is pathetic. One will start, and as soon as one wants to say something, that person will have interrupted. Not only that, but that person then will take over the so-called conversation. And as soon as one perhaps has something to add or comment to a point, that person will raise his or her voice, and so block out anything further. Down the line, one will have something to add or comment, and immediately that voice again is raised and a torrent of word comes out. Zero communication. One is handling a wireless, a radio set with only emission possible. There are certain secrets that are actually worth discovering. Because if one doesn't, one risks actually going through life never in deep communion. One will be on the level of noise, fumes, what in German is called Poof, what comes out of an exhaust pipe. Poof. This is my friend. Now he's Welsh, so it's Poof in Welsh. Notice his character. Very large mouth, and he's very pointed in what he has to say. Sharp-edged in each of his words. He's actually, when he wants to be, quite aggressive. He has horns. He will do what the first reading is talking about, actually the gospel itself, committing moral murder, name-calling, cursing. Now, look at your nature. Adam, that's us in our original state, has a few hints already in his being. Notice that the size of his ears is proportionally large. He has 2 ears and 1 mouth, a hint already in his form. For every emitted word, 2 should go in. And moreover, he has 2 things in his mouth. He is speaking while even in closed state. His mouth is actually grinning and smiling, and although his haircut isn't perfect, he's actually quite nice to look at. I have a friend, a deacon actually, who recently was thrown through a glass window. Not long afterwards he smiled again, because his natural look is a smile. He beams, and he's a source of healing wherever he goes. Others are not. Their look is a howl and a scowl. But there is more. He has a very long nose. Now the nose in the human being is very limited compared with that of, for instance, the dog. The dog knows you by your odor. However, too have something that we can learn from that. Years ago, I was attending a lecture given by actually an actor, Peter Trumper, going back to the mid-70s in Aberystwyth. It was in the Christian Union, and he was a very good speaker. And one point I've never forgotten. He said to us, and we were a large group of students, it's not the way you talk that matters. It's the way you smell. We give off a spiritual odour and aura. We are a lightweight or a mode of healing wherever we are. Again, a lot depends on the look and on the word. But the word doesn't have to be multiplied. The right word, the unexpected twist. Father Martin, who today, as you know, has been beatified, has that always. He never smiles or laughs, but boy, will he make you smile and laugh by the unexpected at the end of the sentence. There is, however, another faculty. It's this one. The eyes. Now, Bristles has big eyes, and in the night he shines at me while I get to sleep, reminding me of one fundamental truth. It's what is summed up in the old poem about the owl. There was an old owl who sat on a yoke. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Oh, were not I like that wise old bird? Now, we are invited not to judge in the gospel, but we are allowed, in the Lord's own words, to judge the tree by its fruit. What does that tell you? We are allowed to observe and watch, so that we're not wholly innocent, but fully aware. Now, after that, the unwise person will not keep his privy counsel. He will be anxious to share what he has seen and known with the whole world. The wise person will know things, but will not disclose all he knows about everything. Why? As long as his mouth is in Adam's position, closed, which the ears cannot be, the mouth can be closed, then there is more going in, and there's a greater increase of knowledge. When the mouth is open, and therefore in danger mode, much is coming out, and nothing more is coming in. So the quiet person knows more than you think. And you might know more than he does if you're observing all, even the language of the body. Which brings me to my last point. We speak through all the pores of our being. The Lord has given us bodies, and our soul uses it, as it were, as the sacrament of its own expression. For good or for bad, we speak with all our gestuality, which actually crosses the borders between humans and animals and little birds. There is some kind of communion in the cosmos, a mystery which we cannot fully understand. A dog knows when his friend is supposed to be there and will not relax until he comes. There are very moving stories about the way that dogs actually go into mourning. It's a mystery, but our Creator is a beautiful God who gave us many consolations and a few hints. I mentioned the person who talks a lot. The more one talks, the less content we find. Words are like leaves, and where they most abound, must know much depth of sense beneath is seldom to be found. Some years ago, before the COVID, there was a scene in Parliament, in the House of Commons. It wasn't at the reign of Boris Johnson, so there he was. It was question time in Parliament. And at a certain point, the question of the gross national product came up. Jeremy Thorpe got up and made his speech, demolishing the policies of the reigning government, and sat down. And Boris, with his hair standing all over the place, got up and made a speech in return, his own style, and concluded it with this. As for the contribution of the right honourable gentleman to the gross national product, it can be summed up in one word: hot air. And that also is the gross sum of what a noisy person emits. So listen to the advice of the first reading, taken up by St. Benedict. If you want peace, learn to master your tongue. And for that to happen, don't get involved with things you're not asked to get involved, because a busybody is his own worst enemy. My friends, we're here only once. Let not our life go